You want to get into the Epstein didn't kill himself phase?
Yes. In today's topic, in the Epstein segment, we're talking about the CDC voting to add the COVID vaccine to its immunization schedule. And at first, upon reading this, I was thinking the schedule that they give newborns and small children. Is this like
a soccer mom schedule that you have to bring oranges this week and then you have to pick up Timmy next week because his mom's going to be working a double shift?
No, you got to bring oranges this week and get COVID jab next week.
Oh.
But similar in that.
But it's for the betterment of the children.
Right. The children. So this isn't... the CDC approving the COVID vaccine for this is not, a mandate of any sort by the CDC or by the federal government itself. The states are still left up to having the police power of deciding whether or not it's required. And I believe at this point, only the District of Columbia actually requires COVID vaccination of children before they can go back to school and stuff like that. I don't think any other state requires that now. But I'm not naive enough to think that with this addition to the immunization schedule, that more states like California, New York, etc., may not
children.
Want to. That's right. Put it on a shirt.
Yeah, put it on a t-shirt.
So what this means from the CDC approving it for the immunization schedule is for all federally funded medical programs that have anything to do with funding the shots that are on the immunization schedule. The CDC approving this makes sure that the federal funding can go to that. So, for example, if you are on Medicaid, you're a poor family and you need vaccinations for your children for whatever reason, the flu shot, which is already on the schedule, if your child gets a flu shot, Medicaid will cover that because the CDC has placed it on the immunization schedule. Up to now, the COVID vaccine was not. But now, as of either yesterday or a couple days ago, we're recording this on October 21st, 2022, the CDC voted unanimously, 15-0, to place the COVID vaccine on the immunization schedule so that anybody who gets medical coverage under federal programs can get the COVID vaccine free of charge and the federal government will pay for it.
That's excellent, Dane.
But especially for kids. That's what the key point here is, especially for kids. Kids. Keep that in mind.
If only there was a podcast that let us know that there's a CDC official that was asked questions about the efficacy and the claims that they made when it first came out. Not a week ago. Did we do that? That wasn't CDC official. That was Pfizer. Which, by the way, is... I have interesting tidbit about that. Did I Freudian slip that? Is that going to be the next Pfizer? Oh, is that how it works? We're like head of a government agency, works with a pharmaceutical company, and then all of a sudden they retire from that said government agency and then become a head of whatever bullshit department and get paid fucking 6 or fucking 7 figures just to sit there and jerk themselves off. I digress. Anywho, the Pfizer representative came out and said, no, we didn't have time to check to see if any of the things that we said about it was.
That we didn't have time to check to see if the vaccine stopped the transmission of COVID. They're still sticking to all their other claims that it lessens your symptoms, you have better chance of surviving, yada, yada. They're just saying we didn't test whether or not our vaccine would stop somebody who gets it from transmitting it to somebody else. So I don't want to mischaracterize what the Pfizer representative had to say,
You know how hard it is to have a conversation with you, Dan.
I'm just saying.
Are you aware?
I'm just saying.
How hard it is.
I don't want to be accused
again
by those who would cancel us for the culture corner jokes that we are being disingenuous.
I know the risks that I'm taking, but I charge forward headlong. Thank you for correcting me and making sure that we're on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
So that we will not get a strike.
Yeah, that's the other thing for YouTube
channel. Anywho, all that being said, and what was the last study on the new Omicron variant vaccine that they studied it on 8 mice and 6 of them are doing pretty okay? Is that what I'm to take from it? But we're going to pump that into our child now? The same one that's had, smallpox vaccinations that's been studied for however many years, measles, typhoid. Don't look at the Tuskegee report.
And who are especially vulnerable because their immune systems are still developing.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything more than that. But other than that, I don't see this as any more than, to be honest with my personal opinion, this looks like an absolute money grab because they knew that they couldn't get people to just sign off on it. Remember when the FDA said, you know what? Children 5 and up can go get a jab. They can go get a booster shot. They can go get this. And then nobody started taking their kid to get it. So now if you're not going to get it, then...
I want to say something like, I saw just on the news the other day, so if I get this wrong, something like 4% of all eligible children, meaning who can get the shot if the parents want them to, only 4% have actually received it. So, I mean, that's good news in terms of 96% of parents aren't completely deficient in their ability to protect their children. 96% are passing that test. 4% not so much, but, that's at least good news.
They won't get called a 96% Jenny McCarthy, anti-vax. You're going to let your kid die of COVID?
Yeah.
How many kids died of COVID? Like 10?
0.
But the 10 had 27.
Yeah.
What were they called? Help me. Fuck. What were the things that helped kill them? The things that probably killed them. What were the terminology?
Pre-existing conditions?
Not pre-existing conditions, but anyway. It was obesity, diabetes, this, that, and the other. Anyway. Causes of mortality, other causes of mortality that were probable that they actually killed them, not the disease themselves. Anyway, the 10 children that died, although it's a tragedy, every child that dies is a tragedy, every human that dies is a tragedy, they were sufficiently immunocompromised. Most kids that got that sloughed it off. However, Governor DeSantis took it upon himself to make recommendations saying especially kids from 18, especially males, shouldn't get the
adults, 18 to 39, yeah. As we talked about in WNUpodcast.com/116 just last week.
Or just episode 116.
Yeah, that
This
is
where you find that.
Anywho. So
we have to save the children, Dane. Save the children. What should the children do, Dane?
So before we move on to the main part of this episode, because David did reference Pfizer, I did want to remind you, and this is the Epstein moment for this segment, is that of the 3 big options, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, the only vaccine that is FDA approved, according to Axios, this article, is... so the only one approved for people 12 and up, so in the child age group, is the Pfizer one. Yes, that very one who admitted that they didn't even bother to test because they were, quote, moving at the speed of science and whatever the market could tolerate, that didn't even bother to test whether or not the vaccine stopped transmission. And as we discussed in a link in episode 116, if you haven't watched or listened to that, go back and check it out. The one that is approved by the FDA for children, the very same that the CDC just put on the Vaccines for Children program list of immunizations, is the one that doesn't even stop the transmission at all. Or they didn't test for it. We don't know if it actually didn't stop it. They didn't test for it. So listen, all I got to say is government is kicking ass at putting money in the pockets of big pharma. Not so much in the realm of health and safety of the American people, which they're supposed to be solely concerned with.
Well, all I'll say is that it just seems so weird that within a short amount of time they could weaponize the word science. Science was such a tertiary word. It was so far removed from anything being controlled, from capitalism, from this, that, and the other. But again, I'm sorry. It wasn't, it was always behind the curtain, there would be a study that proves that sugars don't raise your cholesterol level, but it was paid for by Big Sugar and whatever. But like, to take knowledge and the pursuit of it and weaponize it, that's impressive, dude. In 2 years, the word science got weaponized in such a fashion that people can't even acknowledge what science really is anymore. The speed of science. When the fuck have you ever heard that word before 2020? There was no such thing as speed in science. It was due diligence. It was taking your time to make sure you got everything right so that when you proved or disproved your hypothesis, you would have everything to back it up. That's science. Speed of science? Fuck you. Where's the speed of science for cancer? Where's the speed of science for diabetes? Where's the speed of science for just fucking our health in this country? There's no speed of science for that. But there's speed of science for COVID because a lot of very powerful people stand to make a lot of money because the speed of science dictates it. Fuck you. Sorry, Dane. On to you.